U.S. President Barack Obama will give his fifth State of the Union address later today, and it will be closely watched in America and around the world. He's expected to renew his call for a year of action on the U.S. economy, particularly to help the middle class. As VOA senior White House correspondent Dan Robinson reports, ongoing political polarization in Washington will pose challenges to his agenda.
Thank you. Hey.
Last year, Mr. Obama urged U.S. lawmakers to put nation before party in what he called the unfinished task of restoring a basic bargain.
The idea that if you work hard and meet your responsibilities, you can get ahead. No matter where you come from, no matter what you look like or who you love. It is our unfinished task.
At a White House event with students earlier this month, Mr. Obama previewed the theme of this year's address.
I will mobilize the country around the national mission of making sure our economy offers every American who works hard a fair shot at success.
A majority of Americans share concerns about inequality, but Mr. Obama remains a politically polarizing figure with approval ratings the lowest of his presidency. Congressional Republicans who forced a government shutdown last year to protest his health care law still pose substantial resistance. A bipartisan budget deal averted another shutdown, but analyst Thomas Mann of the Brookings Institution agrees Mr. Obama's second term may be one of limited expectations.
For the most part, I think the president understands that he's not going to get much out of the Congress unless a miracle happened in the midterm election and Democrats regain control of the House and increase the size of their majority in the Senate. That's highly unlikely.
In 2014, immigration reform stands the best chance of progress. Mr. Obama's effort to strengthen gun control laws and raise the minimum wage remain blocked. Mann says the president should not deliver a long list of goals, but instead focus on rebutting Republican criticisms on health care and the economy.
This is not the time for the laundry list. This is time to think strategically about the limits of State of the Union speeches and about what opportunities he might have.
Mr. Obama is expected to highlight the end of the U.S. combat role in Afghanistan, also diplomatic efforts to end bloodshed in Syria, and the removal of chemical weapons without U.S. military action. James Goldgeier, dean of the American University School of International Service, says Mr. Obama is certain to highlight another achievement, the interim nuclear deal with Iran.
And he's going to want to talk about the fact that he got it done. And I think it is also important for him to put on the defensive those people who are questioning the diplomacy, those people who think that since sanctions got us to this point, more sanctions would help us do even better.
Thank you. God bless you.
The White House has mounted a major internet and social media campaign for the speech, which Mr. Obama says will be a bit shorter this year. Dan Robinson, VOA News, the White House.
Well, for more perspective, viewers, Cindy Saine joins us live from Capitol Hill, where the president will be speaking from later this evening. Cindy, it's early in Washington, but would you say excitement is already building up?
Yes, definitely, Vincent. There is a lot of anticipation in the air here, and there's a great amount of tradition and ceremony, and perhaps just for one day, some of the partisan divisions are forgotten. A lot of members of Congress go and wait for hours, 10 or 12 hours. They have to go into the chamber personally to reserve a seat. This is one thing they can't send their staff members to do, to get a seat near the aisle so when the president makes his long, slow walk up the aisle, that they can be photographed giving him a warm handshake.
Now, this shows, obviously, this is a very important event, but most people would say, well, the president might have been talking about some of these issues over a long period of time. What does he expect to achieve when he gives this national address this evening?
Well, that's true, but the president is, even though audiences are not as large as they used to be, there will be tens of millions of Americans watching him on television. So this is a very important chance for the president to lay out his agenda, to say what he would like to accomplish this year, and the focus is going to be on economic opportunities for more Americans, on what the president feels is a growing gap between the rich and the poor, and some of his ways that he wants to tackle that. He's likely to mention a push to get real immigration reform through, which is a very divisive issue for Republicans, and also minimum wage for Americans, among some of the important issues.
And we know that everything will have to be seen from two different dimensions. What is the perspective of the Republicans and that of the Democrats in this case?
Well, some of the Republicans are already voicing concern that the president has said, since we do have a divided government and the House is controlled by Republicans, he may just not wait on Congress and do some things on his own using executive order. And a couple of Republicans have said, now, wait a minute, this sounds a bit like a veiled threat, and there's only so much that the president can do. He really needs Congress for much of the broader actions.
But what is he likely to do unilaterally without having to engage the Republicans?
Well, for example, on raising the minimum wage for federal workers, for immigration, there's been some things that he's been able to do, for example, to help those who were brought to this country when they were very young. So there are some things that he can do unilaterally.
Hey, Cindy, great reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's VOA's Cindy Saine reporting live from Capitol Hill. Be sure to join VOA for complete coverage of President Obama's State of the Union speech on Wednesday, January 29th at 0200 UTC. And you can watch it live on voasnews.com. We'll have a full coverage in Africa on Africa 54 tomorrow night. We want to know now what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we covered. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com.